call to order the meeting of the Portsmouth City Council. I want to thank all the citizens for joining us tonight. In accordance with Governor Ralph Northam's declaration of a state of emergency due to coronavirus, Executive Order 51 on March 12, 2020, and the local declaration of emergency ratified by the Portsmouth City Council, and due to the coronavirus pandemic, which is continuing in the Commonwealth of Virginia. This called meeting of the Portsmouth City Council is being held by video conference on the 13th day of April 2021. Without a quorum present in the City Council chamber, and in order to reduce the likely spread of the coronavirus in accordance with City Council Ordinance 2020-21 and 2020-102. Each City Council member is participating from their home or other remote location, and I am in the City Council chamber. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barnes,
Here.
Mr. Battle,
Here.
Mrs. Lucas Burke,
Here.
Mr. Moody,
Here.
Dr. Whitaker,
Present.
Mr. Woodard,
Here.
Mayor Glover.
Here. Members of council, we have for our consideration the minutes of a special virtual called meeting on March 18th, 2021, a virtual called meeting on March 23rd, 2021, a virtual regular meeting on March 23rd, 2021, and a special virtual called meeting on April 5th, 2021. Is there any discussion of the minutes? If not, we're in need of a motion and second.
Move for approval. Motion to approve. Second.
Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Barnes,
Yes.
Mr. Battle,
Yes.
Mrs. Lucas Burke,
Yes.
Mr. Moody,
Yes.
Dr. Whitaker,
Yes.
Mr. Woodard,
Yes.
Mayor Glover.
Yes. On behalf of the entire Portsmouth City Council and the citizens of Portsmouth, I want to take this special moment to welcome our new city manager, Miss Angel Jones. Can we give her a round of applause, please?
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, could you please read our speaker statement?
Yes, sir. City Council rules require a limit of up to 5 minutes to speak. While speakers have an opportunity to address council on matters of public concern, all comments should be made in a manner that respects the seriousness of the forum and should not be made in a belligerent, sarcastic, or demeaning fashion. All remarks shall be directed to the City Council as a body rather than any particular member of City Council, staff, or the audience, and should be limited to matters that only the Portsmouth City Council can influence. A speaker who fails to observe this basic rule of decorum will be deemed out of order and not allowed to conclude his or her comments.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Yes, sir.
We have now come to our public hearing, item 21-12. We have three caption items, A, B, and C. We will take those individually. And so let us start with item A, public hearing to consider the annual operating budget for FY 2022. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir. Public hearing to consider the annual operating budget for FY 2022.
Madam Clerk. Are there any registered speakers?
Yes, sir. Mr. Mark Godola-Gutrovsky.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members, and neighbors. I am very happy to hear many of the remarks that council members made in the work session preceding this regular meeting, so I don't have to make as vigorous a sales pitch on certain items as I would normally have had to do in earlier days. I am cheered to know that we're on the same page, or it seems that a majority of council and I am on the same page with regard to funding the superintendent's request for an additional $2.5 million in funding. I am happy to hear that a number of you agree that giving supplements to members of the city's closed retirement plans is counterproductive in terms of the overall health of those plans and in terms of the city's finances generally. I support those of you who believe that the HRA should be discontinued for the reasons that Councilmember Whitaker stated before. It's for a select group, and that many of the beneficiaries of that are better off than many other people who are in retirement plans after working for the city. So thank you all for being up there. What I want to emphasize then is the potential for financial difficulty going forward as we hope that we will come out of the economic doldrums that were brought about in conjunction with the onset of the COVID-19 virus. We really aren't sure at what rate the recovery will occur. And we aren't sure what funding the American Recovery Act will provide to the city and how much latitude we have. So I would counsel you, from my perspective, as somebody who looks at finances conservatively, I would counsel you to stick with the November 1st inception date for employee increases. I'm deeply concerned in the financial drivers presentation by the 1.38 million decrease in business tax revenue. This is directly attributable to the slowdown in economic activity, especially in the hospitality industry. The almost $1 million, $940,000 anticipated reduction in state revenue is cause for concern. And the money that the city has been earning due to the investment strategy of our relatively new treasurer is also reduced by almost $1 million. I think it is a good idea to proceed cautiously and make up the difference retroactively if we find ourselves in a rebound. It's a lot harder to recover if we go out spending full blast and then find that other aspects of our revenue stream are being impacted negatively because the economy as a whole is not rebounding at the rate that people hope it will. So, thank you very much, and I'm available if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk, any other registered
No,
speakers?
sir.
No, sir.
Not hearing any then, this public hearing is closed. Madam Clerk, can we go to item D?
Yes, sir. Public hearing on the recommended 2022 through 26 capital improvement program.
Madam Clerk, are there any registered speakers for this item?
Yes, sir. Mr. Mark Adel-Dikitrovsky.
Mr. Yutrowski, sir, you have 5 minutes.
Thank you. I'm not going to need 5 minutes, but what I wanted to do is reiterate what I said to you in a previous meeting regarding the capital expenditures that the schools have requested, specifically the big ticket items, the 2 middle schools that they proposed in the superintendent's assessment of needs. You, in your current budget, have no provision, even in the out years, to address those. And I would like to see some movement on that. Also, as I said previously, what with the current administration in Washington trying to put together an infrastructure package, there may be an opportunity, as we had back in the Great Recession, to get some of our local needs met with federal funds as part of the strategy for bringing the economy back up to full boil. So I believe it works to our advantage not to delay consideration. If you are amenable to funding those middle school improvements, as I hope you are, then by all means get it on the books and get things to a status where if the federal government provides money for shovel-ready projects, we have 2 that will qualify as such. Thank you very much.
We've come to item C, and Madam Clerk, please read the public hearing item.
Yes, sir. And that previous public hearing is closed. Item C, public hearing on proposed changes to rates and levies for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2022.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Are there any registered speakers?
Yes, sir. Mr. Mark Adel-Dikitrovsky.
Sir, you have 5 minutes.
Thank you. So again, I want to repeat myself as this is an appropriate time frame for it. I'm concerned that the 5% rate increase for water and sewage treatment is not going to meet the requirements of the existing consent order related to improvement of our water supply and sewer line infrastructure. Now there is a possibility again that money already appropriated under the American Rescue Plan could go toward these projects. I think it's important though for you to have the authority by adopting the originally proposed 9% rate increase that was proposed last year as an ongoing way of addressing what we are required to do. So if you would enact the 9% increase, and then you come into some money from the federal government, you would have the ability more easily to suspend that for a period of time later on than you would if the money from the federal government does not materialize, and we do have to go forward with financing the project unassisted. So that's what I would encourage you to do. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. That public hearing is now closed.
Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir. Dr.
Yeah.
Whitaker.
I would like to thank Mr. Godoldi Utrovsky for always being concerned about our city and citizens. And I just want to let him know he had mentioned about the November 1st date for increasing the salaries for our employees. That's something that some of us expressed interest in doing, and we'll be getting a report back from our Chief Financial Officer on the feasibility of doing that. So hopefully during the pandemic, this might provide some additional funds for our citizens. And so I just wanted to express that to him, but I thank him for always being concerned.
Thank you, sir, for your comments. And that public hearing is now closed. We've come to item 21-113, public hearing on use permit applications. This is item A. And Madam Clerk, would you please read the public hearing item?
Mayor Glover?
Yes, sir.
Mayor Glover?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Regarding this particular issue, some people from the community have reached out to council members and expressed that they would like to see this table at the moment so that they can learn a little bit more about the project in Mount Herman. So I wanted to make a motion that we table this until the community of Mount Herman learned a little bit more about this particular project that's being proposed in Mount Herman.
There's been a motion made, and we need a second if we are to table this item and for further consideration.
I second.
We have a motion and second. Is there any other discussion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Just want to ask if either Councilmember Barnes or Councilmember Battle, Vice Mayor Barnes or Councilmember Battle can just give us a little more information about the concerns that the community has expressed.
Thank you, sir.
I spoke with members of the civic group and members in the communities, and they had no knowledge of it, although I'm sure it was advertised. And they requested that we request that it be tabled and they learn more about it.
Okay. All right. Mr. Mayor, I have a question with this. Do we know who the Mount Herman Community Improvement Foundation is?
Sir, let me ask that question, Mr. Pace. Do we know who the Mount Herman Community Improvement Foundation is? Or Mr. Baldwin? Either one of you can take that.
Mr. Mayor, yeah, Mr. Mayor, I would suggest you ask Mr. Barclay, who's representing the applicant here tonight who can explain this relationship between the association and the community.
Well, I think, is Mr. Barkley on the line?
Yes, I am.
Mr. Barkley, can you give us some background just on the Mount Herman Community Improvement Foundation, sir?
Yes, and I believe the chairman is on the line as well. But the Mount Herman Community Improvement Foundation was founded in 1981, and it was set up as a nonprofit organization that owned and operated a senior living facility on Cuthrell Street. And they operated that for many years in the community. And they recently sold that property and are now, as a nonprofit, looking to reinvest that money back into the community. And so they identified this property to purchase to operate a community hall and also for their offices. And it had kitchen facilities, and they provide Meals on Wheels service throughout the Mount Herman community and a number of other community functions. It's a long-standing nonprofit that's operated in Mount Herman again since 1981, and it's all governed by and run by Mount Herman residents. Now, Mr. Alvin Ely is the president of the organization.
Okay.
And I believe he is on the line. I gave him all the information to call in. He's provided. It's my understanding the Civic League actually used to meet at one of their facilities. So, but anyway, I'd like to let Mr. Ely speak to that directly.
Well, before we ask Mr. Ely to speak, I would ask a question of my colleagues. We had a motion and second to table this particular hearing. Based on what the explanation was from Mr. Barkley, are we still wanting to consider the motion to table this particular hearing? Councilmember Battle.
He's muted. You're muted, Mr. Battle.
Thank you, sir. The organization that Mr. Barkley is talking about used to be a home-owned operation, but in the last couple of years, it was sold to an outside national company. So they kept the manager, who was Mr. Eli, and some of his administration in place, but it does not represent the populace. I spoke with the populace, and they asked for what is not an unreasonable request, which is to table it until they can learn more information about it.
Thank you, sir. So, Councilmember Woodard, go ahead, sir.
Thank you, man. This is for Mr. Barkley. They are requesting an entertainment license for a banquet hall. Is this correct?
Yes, and I'd like to just make one point. The property was sold, but the proceeds of the sale of the property are maintained with the foundation. And it's my understanding that the foundation still has those assets, and that's locally run. But yes, their intent was to create a banquet hall and office facility.
Mr. Barkley, sir, just hold.
Man.
At this point, we've determined we have a motion and second to table this matter until further discussion. That is the motion that we need to deal with and take a vote on. It has been made and seconded. So, Madam Clerk, can we call the roll, please, on the motion?
Council members,
Before
it should not
be a motion to
table,
table, but a motion.
for her.
Okay.
For however long you want. To table it, it would have to be removed from the table and brought back to your agenda. To defer it, you would defer it to a date certain, which I'm thinking would be 2 weeks or however long you all determine. But I don't really think you want to table it.
I think,
I'll
Madam
make
Clerk,
the
the motion
motion.
to defer is what we desire.
Okay.
Are we in agreement with that?
One is
First, so let us move forward with the motion to defer.
And that will be into April the 27th.
Yes, the 27th.
Is that enough time? Is that enough time for the parties that expressed the concern?
I'm sure if Mr. Barkley and the group gets with the civic folk, I'm sure that should be enough time.
I think so. I think it's adequate time. So can Madam Clerk, can we call for the vote, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Barnes,
Yes.
Mr. Battle,
Yes.
Mrs. Lucasberg,
Yes.
Mr. Moody. You're muted, but I think that's a yes.
That was a yes.
Thank you. Dr. Whitaker,
Yes.
Mr. Whitaker,
Yes.
Mayor Glover.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Barkley. Item B, PUP-121-02. Madam Clerk, would you read the public hearing item?
Yes, sir. I-264, 164.
Item B,
K.
-121-0.
Okay. Kenjo Outdoor LLC requests a use permit to construct a new 14 by 48, 50-foot high permanent freestanding outdoor advertising sign on a 1.914 acre lot located at 1420 Columbus Avenue near the I-264, 164 MLK Expressway, Westbound ramp, exit 6. The property is zoned industrial, and the future land use map of the Build One Portsmouth Comprehensive Plan designates the property as heavy industrial. The property is owned by William A. Hall. Planning Commission recommends approval with conditions.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Yes, sir.
Is the applicant here?
Yes, sir. The applicant is Tyler Rosa or Daniel Nielsen.
Mr. Rosa? Sir, you have 10 minutes to present your item. And thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, and good evening, Mayor Glover and Vice Mayor Barnes and members of the City Council. My name is Tyler Rose. I'm a local attorney with the law firm Williams Mullen. My business address is 999 Waterside Drive, Suite 1700, Norfolk, Virginia. I'm here today on behalf of the applicant Kenjo Outdoor LLC. Kenjo Outdoor is a national billboard developer and operator that has successfully developed and operated billboards in several states and is excited about its expanding operations in Virginia and the 757 region. I'd first like to thank Mr. Carl Jackson and the rest of the planning staff for their hard work on this application and for the recommendation of approval. They provided a very thorough staff report, and I will try not to be duplicative here today. We agree with their assessment of the project and the application and agree with the conditions that they've proposed. Ultimately, this project is about putting an unused piece of property with limited development potential to work for the city of Portsmouth. The property is uniquely situated because it's surrounded by 3 stretches of highway, and it's also wedged between 2 large concrete pillars. And while this positioning may diminish the desirability to develop the property for traditional industrial uses, it's actually a prime location for a digital billboard because of the opportunity for high visibility in a high traffic corridor. The significant majority of advertising on billboards is actually for local businesses, and the advertising provides important and consistent visibility for those businesses. Billboards also serve an important public safety function to the communities they serve by providing a way to broadly disseminate important emergency information on a timely basis. For instance, this particular billboard will be able to provide instant broadcasting of Amber Alert messages and display other important city information. Because this billboard will be located at the intersection of two main arteries of the city with I-264 West and Martin Luther King Expressway, it will provide an opportunity for increased exposure to those local businesses on the west side of the city and to the north side of the city. It will also be able to alert a significant number of residents and travelers to emergency information if needed as they travel through the center of the city. Additionally, the presence of the billboard on the property will, as a primary use, limits further improvements on the site and presents an opportunity to improve the landscaping aesthetic and tree canopy cover of the area. Kenjo is committed to working with the city to provide adequate landscaping on the property that helps the city meet its goals, and the applicant has engaged a landscape architect to help in the design and development of the site. This project will utilize a Watchfire LED billboard, which is the best digital billboard on the market today. The software integrated into the Watchfire billboard and the cameras that Kenjo plans to install will allow Kenjo to remotely monitor the billboard in real time and be immediately aware of and address any maintenance needs or technical issues that may arise, including any LED outages. Kenjo's active management will also ensure that the billboard is in compliance with the zoning ordinance requirements regarding illumination and automatic changeable sign copies. And the billboard will also only be oriented in one direction and have one sign face as required by the zoning ordinance. As the staff report indicates, the billboard will not have any negative impact on traffic safety in the area, is compliant with the comprehensive plan and future land use map, and meets all dimensional and setback requirements imposed by the zoning ordinance. Furthermore, the billboard will increase the property's tax base and allow an otherwise vacant property to generate some additional tax revenue for the city. So in conclusion, this is a wonderful opportunity to take an unused and largely undevelopable piece of property and put it to work for the economic, environmental, and public safety interests of the city of Portsmouth. And that is why we respectfully request the City Council vote to approve UP 2102 this evening. Thank you very much for your consideration and time this evening. I'll stand by for any questions, and also available for questions is Dan Nielsen with Kenjo Outdoor. Mr. Nielsen is a principal at Kenjo Outdoor and engineer for the project, so he can answer any technical questions that I cannot.
Thank you, Mr. Rosa. And Dr. Whitaker, sir.
Thank you for the presentation. Just a question. Did I understand you said it's a one-sided sign, that it will only be a display on one side?
Yes, sir. The zoning ordinance actually requires that off-premises signs or billboards be oriented in one direction. So we interpreted that to mean that there can only be one sign face, and also the way that the Martin Luther King Expressway goes behind the sign, it wouldn't provide any meaningful exposure to eastbound traffic, or wouldn't be visible likely from that, yeah, as shown on the screen right now. This view is actually from Martin Luther King Expressway, but we were indicating from the eastern-bound traffic on 264, but also in order to comply with the zoning ordinance, the ordinance required only one sign face.
Okay.
Mr. Rosa, sir. Does your company, the company you represent on with their signs, do they provide any signage space for city advertisement, perhaps like public safety or public announcements from the city perspective?
Tyler, I can take that one.
Okay.
Hi everyone. My name is Dan Nielsen. I am the applicant, and Tyler is my representative tonight. But again, I'd like to echo Tyler's comments and say thank you to everyone's hard work and for the application. And the answer is yes. If we have empty space on the sign, we're more than willing to provide space to the city for numerous whatever you guys want up there: amber alerts, weather alerts, traffic alerts, etc.
Thank you, sir.
And Ms. Smith, this is a digit, so it is a digital sign.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Thank you. Councilmember Moody, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Is that unusual to have one side of the sign blocked out due to a zoning ordinance?
It is a little bit unusual. Obviously, you'd love to get the second side just for revenue base, but as Tyler talked about regarding the zoning ordinance, I don't control that. And with the way that the Martin Luther King Expressway is elevated behind the sign, we're not real sure it would get visibility for 264 eastbound traffic. If it did, it'd be kind of blocked in within the view window. So, yeah, it is a bit unusual, but it's kind of out of our hands.
How about instead of it being blocked out, how about our city logo or some message from Portsmouth on it?
We wouldn't be
amenable to that.
We'd be open to that. Some of it requires because it's an off-premise sign located along an interstate. Some of it requires a little bit of approval from VDOT, but we wouldn't be opposed to that. Some cities don't want to be associated with certain billboard. Let's say we run an ad for Coca-Cola, and the city does not like Coca-Cola because Coca-Cola left town a few years ago and left a bunch of people jobless. Some cities don't want to be associated with billboards, but we'd be amenable to that.
Yeah, well, on that side, there wouldn't be any Coke or any other ad.
No, right now it's just black because
yeah,
we didn't want to have it.
Mayor, I would like for us to look into that if the company is amenable to giving that side, for a city message. I think it would be more attractive than just having a blacked out sign.
Yeah.
Okay, Councilmember Moody, we'll ask the manager to look into that.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor.
Hold on, Dr. Whitaker. Councilwoman Lucasberg had her hand. You have the floor, ma'am.
Yes, thank you, sir. Mr. Dan Nelson, I know when I attended the Planning Commission meeting, there was some question about the maintenance of the area around the sign. And then
yes.
Also the watchfire signs. I know that the digital bulbs or the digital lighting in them, you have a way to repair them quickly. Could you explain for the purpose of our viewing audience today?
Sure. So watchfire is kind of what we call the Cadillac of digital billboards. They're as good a sign as we can get. And typically if one panel goes out, it's a foot by foot panel of LEDs. If one panel goes out, typically Watchfire themselves knows before us, but we both know very, very quickly that obviously one square foot of our 672 foot square sign is not working. So we would know instantly. We would shut the sign down. We'd come. We'd take that one panel out. We'd put a new one in, and we'd be back up and running within 24, 48 hours. The Watchfire sign itself is rated for 10 years of warranty. So like I said, they're as good as money can buy. So we put up a quality product. We hope that everyone likes the way it looks. But as far as maintenance for the site itself regarding landscaping, we've submitted a landscaping plan. I'm not a master at picking out bushes and roses and trees, but we plan to clean up the site and plant the bushes and flowers that are on the plan. If the city has specific requests, we're open to whatever the city's asking for. It's just, we did the best we could with our landscaping choice. So, however, if you guys want to see a flower or bush out there, you let us know.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Whitaker?
Yes, so as far as what Councilman Moody was speaking to, is that something that I believe there are some sign ordinances that are being considered now? Is that something that can be forwarded with the sign changes to take into account the one-sided signs, to change that to allowing for possible two sides.
Mr. Baldwin, would you like to speak to that matter?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, in regard to that question regarding the zoning regulations, let me just mention two things. Number one, the model that was used by the city when we drafted the regulations for these billboards, these electronic signs, came from the industry. These were industry standards we were using as our baseline. But we did have been taking a look at that question of the one-sided restriction in our zoning code versus two-sided. We have already gone to the Planning Commission to initiate some zoning ordinance amendments on these electronic signs, including this question of a two-sided billboard sign, and those code amendments are expected to go to the Planning Commission actually in their May meeting and would come back to City Council in June.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Baldwin. Are there any other questions for the applicant? Well, thank you, Mr. Nielsen. Okay, Councilmember Woodard.
Thank you, Mayor. Hey, how you doing, Dan Nielsen? Do your company traditionally do two-sided billboards, or what's the count on you guys putting two-sided billboards up?
So yeah, typically we'd love to have two sides. Obviously, more revenue is great for everyone. If we get this sign up and we do feel like there's an opportunity to have some backside advertising, maybe we would come back to you guys. I would like to tell you that I think 700 to 800, maybe 1,000 feet away to the west of our sign, there's 2 or 3 billboards already that are double-sided. So we wouldn't be, the first ones to do a double-sided billboard in Portsmouth. I think those signs are very, very old, so don't take it the wrong way. But yeah, typically wherever we can, we do a two-sided just to get, as long as both sides are viewable. But in certain situations, like this one, maybe Martin Luther King Expressway is blocking the backside of that sign from 264 eastbound traffic, and therefore it's just not viable. Let's just assume that it is blocking. It just wouldn't be viable for us to put up a large investment for a watch fire sign. As I've said, they're a little bit expensive. They're as good as money can get. So we'd love to have the second side, but it's just not. Obviously, the zoning ordinance prevents it right now. But if we feel in the future that it's a possibility, we'd love to come back and revisit it.
Was there any research done to see if it was a possibility? Was different angles looked at to see, can you accommodate different lanes?
So I think typically what we might have done if the zoning ordinance allowed it, we would have bought what's called like a 60-foot. It's called like a boom truck or a boom lift, and we would put it up at 50 feet, and then we would drive along the highway eastbound and westbound, and say, okay, this is how high the JLG is. That's how high our sign would be. We could see it from 500 to 700 feet away. That means we could get 2 or 3 reads on for the eastbound traffic. So no, there was not done on this site. Right.
Okay. Right.
It wasn't done for this site, no.
Okay. Thank you.
Once again, thank you, Mr. Nielsen and Mr. Rosa. Mr. Baldwin, do you have anything to add to this item?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I think one thing you might want to look at, and we could work with the city attorney's office if since this item will be coming back for a second reading, it's a possibility to add into the approval resolution the authority for a backside or second side on the sign should the zoning ordinance be approved to permit it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for that update. Madam Clerk, are there any registered speakers?
No, sir.
Members of council, is there any discussion on this item? I think we've pretty much discussed it, but is there any additional discussion on this item? Hearing none, then we are in need of a motion and a second.
Move adoption.
Second.
Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Barnes,
Yes.
Mr. Battle,
Yes.
Mrs. Lucas Burke,
Yes.
Mr. Moody,
Yes.
Dr. Whitaker,
Yes.
Mr. Woodard,
Yes.
Mayor Glover.
Yes. Yes. This public hearing is closed. Thank you, gentlemen, once again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen, once again. We are moving to item C, use permit -21-03. Madam Clerk, would you read the public hearing item?
Yes, sir. Evergreen at Bethel. Alvin Keels of D&K Builders requests a use permit for a 280-unit multifamily and mixed-use development consisting of 7 four-story apartment buildings and a restaurant within the clubhouse on a 13.79 acre parcel at 4358 Greenwood Drive in the multifamily urban residential zoning district with a proposed density of 20.30 dwelling units per acre. The future land use map of the Bill 1 Portsmouth Comprehensive Plan designates this property for single-family residential, low to medium density. The property is owned by the Cavalier Manor Development. Planning Commission recommends denial.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Is the applicant available?
I believe so, yes, sir. Mr. Keels is on the line.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. How you doing today?
Very good. You have 10 minutes, sir.
Yes, I appreciate the opportunity to present to City Council in the City of Portsmouth and the Cavalier Manor neighborhood. I want to start by introducing myself. I'm going to probably do my presentation just a little different because I've had an opportunity to speak with most of the council over the last few months. So I'm going to speak more on myself and my vision for the project and the community. I would like to, at the end, add in my design team and my engineers to answer any questions. Yeah, I had some feedback here. So I wanted to go ahead and just, jump into pretty much the history behind myself as a developer and a businessman. I've been a sports agent for 21 years, and I've recently gotten into real estate development over the last 2 or 3 years. And I came across the opportunity to purchase this land in the Cavalier Manor neighborhood in May of last year. I'm the owner of Cavalier Manor Development Group. I actually have a real estate mentor by the name of Brian Sutrick, who's also an owner. And I purchased the land in May of 2020 from Southern Bank. The only reason I'm going into the history, and I'm not necessarily doing a slideshow, but I'm going into the history behind this is because I've had to connect with the community of Portsmouth on this project. And there was many questions about who the actual owner was, and I want to just clear up, those questions here in front of the City Council and in front of the City of Portsmouth. I'm a Portsmouth resident as well. I've lived in Portsmouth for the last 17 years, and I care about this city. And the City of Portsmouth is near and dear to my heart. I can admit that, over the years of me doing business, I do a lot of business out of town. I didn't quite understand how the City of Portsmouth operates, and I made some political political mistakes along the way, and I want to just, clear that up and just let the council know that if I've offended anybody along the way, I apologize. It was due to pure ignorance, But let's talk about the project. I purchased the land. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do with the land last summer. And, the first person that I reached out to in mid-October was the president of the Cavalier Manor Civic League, Ray Smith. I sat down with Ray Smith for close to 3 hours, and we talked about the land and the project. And Ray indicated to me that the Civic League was steadfast on having single-family homes on this particular property. I told Ray that, I would look into doing single-family homes, but my vision for the property was to develop apartments. I told Ray that if I developed apartments, it would be a top-of-the-line product for Cavalier Manor. After that meeting, I went on to do the homework on single-family homes. And when I looked at the improvement cost of the land, it was going to run me as a developer, close to $4 million to develop the 14 acres of land for single-family homes, which would have forced me to have to sell lots in that neighborhood for over $100,000 per lot. In this current market, that's not feasible for this particular piece of property. So I circled back and I presented a project of 280 apartment units, which you now see on the screen, which will consist of 56 one-bedrooms, 142 bedrooms, and 84 three-bedrooms. This is going to be a family-oriented market rate community, something that's going to be unique in the city of Portsmouth. I think it's going to be an iconic community in the city of Portsmouth to fit right in with a community that's already filled with many years of tradition. This community, I had a vision. I wanted the community to be wide open that you could see from the street. So coming down the street of Greenwood, you'll see a beautiful retention pond. There'll be well landscaped. You'll see the wide open view of the community, a beautiful view of the clubhouse. Particular community, a lot of amenities from market rate tenants. We'll have a state-of-the-art clubhouse with a coffee shop. We'll also have a very nice swimming pool. 40% of this community will be green area because I wanted this area to be open, green, beautiful. Landscaping is going to be very important with this community. We'll have a playground. We'll have electric charging stations for electric cars, and the community will be gated. So I presented that back to Ray Smith, and I sat down with the Civic League on January 13th of this year. We met with maybe 4 or 5 Civic League members during that meeting. Because I wanted the word to get out to the community, let me check my time real quick. Because I wanted the word to get out to the community, I wasn't, satisfied with the participation in that first meeting. I scheduled a separate Zoom with over 100 members of the community that joined in on that Zoom call, and that was on February 24th. On that call, we had an opportunity to talk directly to the citizens of Cavalier Manor and perhaps some communities surrounding Cavalier Manor, and we received an abundance of support. After that, we went on to canvass the community. We went door to door because the Civic League still opposed during my planning meeting, of which I was denied during planning, and they said that the community didn't stand behind the project. We went door to door to canvass the community, and we collected close to 500 signatures, which have been forwarded to each council member in support of this particular project. This project will bring energy to a neighborhood with many years of tradition. This project is a project that I envision, college graduates that come back to work in the city of Portsmouth or surrounding cities that want to live in Portsmouth, they'll have the opportunity to live here. This is going to be a family-oriented community dominated by basically 2 and 3 bedroom units. That's going to be an infusion in the little leagues. That's going to be an infusion in parent participation in the schools. It will be an infusion to the different churches throughout the neighborhood. It's just going to be a good bolt of energy for the community. I say all that to say I want you guys to know and understand that, I recognize my duty as a minority businessman in this community. My plan is to not only build up the community, but to also reinvest in the community, and that's something that I've already done. I've reached out and committed, whether they support me or not, to supporting the Civic League with security cars. I've already donated to the Little Leagues in Cavalier Manor. I've committed to donate toward the STEM program, and also, I plan to put something together for the seniors of the community. There will be opportunities, not only in this project, but future projects of mine for minority participation on the equity level. Right now, I say with full conviction that I 100% own the development rights to this particular project. There will be opportunity for others to join in, and I think it's my duty to give opportunities to those that are coming behind me that may not be able to take on a project of this size on their own. So with that being said, I ask that the City Council of Portsmouth vote yes for this project, and I will give you my full word, my commitment to not only seeing to it that this is a first-class project, but also that I will be a pillar in this community to help take Portsmouth in a bold new direction. So with that being said, I conclude. I would like for my architects and engineers to be included on any question and answer part of this, as there may be some questions that will pertain to the actual design and engineering of the project. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Keels. Mr. Baldwin, do you have anything additional to add, sir?
No, sir, I do not.
Madam Clerk, are there any registered speakers?
Yes, sir, we do. Our first speaker is Mr. Ray Smith.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good evening to Mayor Glover, to Vice Mayor, to council members, to city and staff, and those that may be listening. And I also like to take this opportunity to welcome our new city manager, Ms. Jones. My name's Ray Smith. I live at 1227 Dern Drive, and I am the president of the Cavalier Manor Civic League. I'd just like to begin by saying that Cavalier Manor Civic League have represented this community for many, many years. It's unfortunate that we've been misrepresented and the community's been misguided into thinking that the Cavalier Manor Civic League has very few members and that we aren't in tune with what the community wants and their desires. I've made a lot of efforts. We're on social media, we have our own website, and we communicate pretty frequently with those in attendance at the meetings. Civic leagues, as they go across the city, you will not get even 50% of the communities with attendance in civic league meetings. But to make a long story short, we have opposed this project, and I won't go through all of the reasons. That I was going to list 8 reasons why we oppose it, but because I think it's just an exercise in futility. When I've talked with most all council members, at least 5, and I think minds have already been made up. But we just like you to understand that we are the Civic League and we do represent the community. Anyone that knows the demographics know that the 3/4, 80% of Cavalier Manor's property owners and residents are 55 plus. They're senior citizens. The majority of them do oppose this, and that's our position on their behalf. We just feel that it's just too dense, and a number of other reasons that I'm not going to even waste my time going over at this point, because I think minds have already been made up due to a lot of things that occurred, the undermining of the Civic League, and also the misrepresentations of petitions that don't mean a hill of beans when they aren't verified or certified. But we do want council members to know that we are in tune with the majority of our citizens. I've taken numerous calls. We've even increased our membership over this proposal. There's folks that call, they email. I see them in the street. I've been out to functions in the community, and they have let us know that that's not what they want. It's just too dense, too many things going on Greenwood Drive as it is. It's just a big project when you have 7 buildings and 280 apartments, and the people that you're going to put there is going to burden the schools, is going to also the fire stations that are close to there if there's some kind of catastrophe out there. Then there's the fact that the developer has not made it clear who's going to manage it, whether he's going to manage it or whether he's going to contract. That's important to us. Whether he's going to maintain ownership and not just sell it, for the best offer that come along. But we reassure you that we have communicate with as many persons as possible. Of course, we don't have the resources that he has to communicate with all 4,000 homes like he did, or to all of the 8,000 residents that are out there. But we feel confident and pretty safe to say that we still stand in opposition to the proposal. Thank you.
Our next speaker, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Michael Massey. Is Mr. Massey on the line? Okay.
Next speaker, ma'am.
Mr. Chris Stubbs.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you have 5 minutes.
All right, thank you. Good afternoon, Mayor Glover, Vice Mayor Barnes, and members of
I think
the
that they haven't let Michael in.
My name is Chris Stubbs. I'm a civil engineer.
Can someone let Mike?
Sir, we got this.
Can Michael come sit? They won't let him in. Can you
He'll still have his time to speak, sir. You will have.
Yeah.
We're going to continue with the speaker that is currently speaking, and we'll come back to you, Mr. Massey, sir.
I can't hear.
Can you?
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Chris Stubbs. I'm a civil engineer with Hargadier Associates, and I'm a member of Alvin Kill's design team. We put together the site concept plan, so I mainly just wanted to introduce myself and go over a few things. Alvin did a pretty good job of giving you an overview of the development plan. So to avoid reiterating it too much, it's seven apartment buildings, 40 units per building, 280 units total. It features a wide amount of site amenities, which include 3 parks, linear BMP, attractive stormwater retention pond, a clubhouse, and a pool. I do want to make particular mention with regard to the amenities and the amount of open space, because I think it's been said several times that the density of apartments, we do a lot of apartment development, And I just want to state, just for the record here, that this particular apartment development is not at its maximum density. It's proposed a little below that. But more so, Alvin has put together a plan that's provides over 4 times as much open green space as is typical or as is permitted by the zoning ordinance. The requirement for open space in this ordinance is 10%, and he's currently proposing 40%. That leaves us a lot of room for attractive landscaping to address things like stormwater management as well. There will be ample parking on the site. We put together an alternative parking study that is done based off of 0.75 parking spaces per dwelling unit. So there are 467, so there will be enough on site without parking spilling over into adjoining streets, clogging up Tazewell or clogging up the on-street parking on Tazewell Drive. There was also a traffic impact study that was done and with the proposed mitigation of 2 left-hand turn lanes on Greenwood Drive, as well as some signal modifications at the intersection of Greenwood and Cavalier, this site will not have a large detrimental impact on the surrounding traffic. I believe that's all I have. I'm not sure if this format allows you to ask me any questions, but if you have anything technical, please feel free to ask. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Massey, sir, are you prepared to speak at this time? You're on mute, sir.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can.
All right, I apologize for that. I'm not savvy. Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Glover, Vice Mayor Barnes, and other city council persons. Today, I'm probably coming before you to speak on behalf of Alvin Keels, Jr. and the A4 Development Group. I'm proud to represent Mr. Keels as this project is good for my city, the city of Portsmouth. I say my city because I've lived here 27 years, practiced law here about that same amount of time, and I've raised 4 incredible children in the Portsmouth school system with the help of an incredible woman. The project brings me hope, as one day I would like for my children to come back after graduating from school and live in Portsmouth. This neighborhood and project are the exact type of community my and my upperly mobile millennial children and yours would love to live in. How incredible it will be for Portsmouth to bring new housing in a time when there are housing shortages. Mr. Keels spoke of medium income requirements of $40,000 to $60,000 to live in the community. These are the type of citizens that the current residents of Cavalier Manor will be proud to live with, shop with, and commune with. Alvin Keels and I have lived as neighbors in Portsmouth for 16 years in the Churchton area of Portsmouth. When Alvin asked me to represent him, we had extensive meetings in order for me to determine the seriousness in which he was approaching the project. I wanted to understand where his heart was. Was it simply to make money or was it to enrich Portsmouth? I can candidly say that it was both. That was in line with my stated vision, so representing him made sense to me. I found Alvin to be amicable, yet a strong and determined businessman. I also found that he had made some mistakes along the way in getting this project off the ground, but I do not know of any man who has not. My job has been to protect his financial and business interests from a legal perspective, but also to reintroduce him to the community so they could know the real Alvin Keels Jr., the Alvin Keels that I came to respect and to admire. As soon as the necessary legal documents were signed, my job, as stated before, was to reach out to community leaders and reintroduce Alvin and his project. We met with all but one council member, and the individual we did not speak with face-to-face did afford us their perspective on matters that were presented. We had frank and deliberate conversation with Portsmouth's top leaders. We were questioned in excruciating detail, but it was something we welcome as the project is so important to Mr. Keels. We then sought to meet the members of the Cavalier Manor community. Mr. Ray Smith worked with us in setting Zoom meetings so that the citizens could understand the value of the project. We had a very successful Zoom meeting that brought about 100 participants. We sent out a colorful mailing to the entire 23701 neighborhood outlining the project and giving people the opportunity to contact Mr. Keels to express their concerns. We participated in a neighborhood gathering at New Testament Church to celebrate Easter Monday and introduced Mr. Kills to other members of the community that may not have known him. All of these things were done so that people could get to know the man Alvin Kills is. He is not some Virginia Beach developer coming to Portsmouth to throw up some buildings and leave town. Alvin is invested here. His family is invested here. Alvin is here to stay with this project and others that he is working on this project. I did mention that Alvin Kills is an African-American man who's doing a good job for this city. He has not asked for a handout or a helping hand. He has not asked for favoritism. He has asked for your trust. The same trust you afford millionaire outside developers who come to the city yet are not vested in this gem of a city. The same trust you have placed in Rush Gaming. Trust, by the way, in Rush Gaming. The casino workers, I would also note anecdotally, will also need somewhere to live. Wouldn't it be great that they would have a housing community in close proximity so they can live in Portsmouth and work in Portsmouth? That's a win for the city. I have another client who I'm working with who has seen the greatness of this city. Another young millionaire African-American man that I've spoken with extensively and taken around this city in Portsmouth. I say to you, City Council, carpe diem. Now is the time to be the quintessential example to all of Hampton Roads that smart development is welcome in Portsmouth, regardless of the race and creed of the man or the woman. Not just saying this for legal purposes and literature, but practically applying it so that all feel welcome to present innovative and financially sound development for our great city. I humbly request each member of City Council to vote in favor of this project. It's not simply good for Alvin Kills, it's good for Portsmouth, the true gem of Hampton Roads. I thank you all for your time.
Thank you, sir. Are there any other speakers, Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Mr. Tom Ratnower.
Good evening, all. Can everybody hear me? Good evening.
We can hear you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Clerk and members of City Council. My name is Tom Retnauer. I'm the architect for the project. My home address is 101 Avenue Drive, Chesapeake, Virginia. My business address is 432 South Battlefield Boulevard, Chesapeake, Virginia. So we've created a clean, modern design. It's a 4-story high buildings for this development. They're interior corridor development buildings, so there will be a safety factor of when people arrive home, they'll actually be able to go inside and be in a safe environment. The buildings look both outward and inward. So on the outward, we've got some wonderful features that fully comply with the zoning regulations in regards to elevations and movement of the elevations. On inward, the units will be facing a number of green spaces, a rain garden, and other features that are actually very uncommon in developments nowadays. The building's designed, it uses a low slope roof, so the maximum height of the buildings will be 40 feet, so they'll fit in within the scale of the neighborhoods that are surrounding it. Some of the questions that you've heard tonight and some statements about multifamily and single family. We've designed over 2,000 single family homes and almost 3,000 apartments. Statistics have shown time and again to create a more vibrant city, having a selection of living choices allows for various age groups to help populate a city. In this case, having high quality apartments that can attract both DOD and non-DOD residents will help rebuild the population of Portsmouth. Demand analysis. Right now, all the recent apartment complexes in Portsmouth are at 100% capacity. This has been proposed in a 2 to 3 year period. You'll be at 96% capacity. There is a need for this. Students, faculty, staff at TCC would have a short commute. DOD families working at the hospital would be able to commute without going through the tunnels. In regards to the single family position on this, as Alvin was talking about, you'd actually have to have a for sale price of close to $500,000 because of the development cost. That just isn't possible in Portsmouth right now in this neighborhood. I heard a couple other questions. The buildings will be fully sprinkled. So in regards to fire protection, they will be fully taken care of. Alvin's already interviewing management companies to make sure that the management company is top notch. And right now, the buildings and the overall design does fully comply with your zoning regulations. So thank you, and I'm available for questions.
Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir.
Are there any other speakers?
Dr. Melvin Mariner.
Good evening, Mayor Glover, Vice Mayor
Good evening, sir.
and to all the members of our great city council. This is Melvin Mariner. I live at 1616 Clark Circle, Chesapeake, Virginia. I've served as senior pastor of the Grove Baptist Church in Churchland, 5910 West Norfolk Road, for almost 32 years. My heart, my desire is for the city of Portsmouth to grow. And perhaps you're asking, why is it important to a pastor or clergy to see this project take wings and somehow find its roots in the Cavalier Manor area? Let me give you perhaps 3 or 4 reasons why I'm committed to this. I have no financial obligation to give or receive anything from Alvin Kills. I have about 3 or 4 reasons that I really want to see this project take off. One reason is Alvin Kills is a minority investor. He is a person who comes into our city with all of the disparities that we've talked about over the decades. We now have an investor who looks like one of us, who knows about the roots of Cavalier Manor, who desires to bring some serious investment and growth to our city. If that's the only reason, he comes with such a great host of professionals working with him. And so being a minority investor is something that we have talked about in the past, something that we've argued about in the past. We have done research and studies, but yet here is one who has been really put through a lot of channels. The second reason, I think that it's good for community enhancement and development. That area has been vacant for quite some time. I remember how it used to look. I had family who stayed in Bonneville area, and so it is great to see somehow that we have a desire to see community enhancement and development, to see Cavalier Manor continue to be strong and vibrant as it is. I was really looking forward to Mr. Ray Smith answering the question or going further into details to why they are opposed against it. I wasn't sure. I really wanted to hear some things. I too walked and knocked some doors to get signatures just to see where the hearts and the minds of the people were. And doing such, people just said they wanted to see Cavalier Manor stronger. And I guess we all have our different perspectives on what is stronger. But I really wanted to hear Mr. Smith talk about why they why were they opposing it, rather than just simply saying that the minds have been made up. The third reason, high quality apartments that we just heard about. I think that's important. For me, it gravitates to or attracts young people, young adults into our area. This is not Section 8. This is not an area where we will have a tax burden. This is an area where people are going to continue to pay their fair share of taxes and make sure that Cavalier Manor continues to be strong. So let me really hasten to my close. So why is the clergy, why is pastors such as Bishop Jerome Williams of New Testament Church in Cavalier Manor, who had to disconnect because he had a prior engagement at his church? Why is he in Cavalier Manor, one of the prominent churches? Why are we supporting this? Well, one main reason. We all have our own interests. And so our interest is potential church growth without tolls. I mean, all of our industries and businesses in Portsmouth have been hurt by tolls and other areas as well. So for me, churches are not exempt. We have lost members because members decided not to come through the tolls. But now this is an opportunity for all of us to attract new people, to have areas of growth, to meet their needs. So that's why we're engaged. We want to see Portsmouth grow because we want to see our churches grow. We believe in the gospel that we preach, and we want to make sure that the reason that they don't come is not because of the tolls or adequate apartments. So thank you for sharing this. I do ask you to vote yes. I'm not sure where your minds are. I haven't talked to any of you about your final decisions, but I do support this. And I want to see our churches grow. I want to see Alvin Keels as a minority investor be given an opportunity to show how wonderful he can do for the city. And so he has a great team. I'm supporting this, and I hope that you will for the sake of our churches as well. Thank you, Mayor and council members, for who you are and what you're doing to make this city great.
Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk, do we have an
Mark Godoldi.
Good evening again, Mr. Mayor and council and neighbors. I do not live in Cavalier Manor, and I think that is an important component of this discussion. I have attended the one major presentation regarding this project and came away with one opinion, and then had some more conversation with Mr. Keels and came away with a different opinion. But as a community person, I'm a big believer that it is what a community wants for itself that should be the most important factor in what goes into that community. So there are different views as to what the community wants. Mr. Smith, whom I consider a respected leader, not only in his own community but in the city, has one view. And I understand that there have been petitions circulated and doors approached and people solicited, and that there is a different view. What I would offer to you as a suggestion for ascertaining what the community itself wants is to do a referendum of the residents and let them tell you what their vision for the future of Cavalier Manor is. I belong to a generation that has come to inherit much of the power on the political scene. But I remember the words of President Kennedy in his inaugural address when he said the torch has been passed to a new generation. I think those of us who have been carrying the torch aren't all that eager to pass it to a new generation. But the future, Cavalier Manor, and ultimately the city of Portsmouth, lies in the hands of the new generations. We really need to give them an opportunity to make their voices heard. And so if the will of the community is to develop in this fashion, I believe it should be respected. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And Madam Clerk, do we have any additional speakers?
Yes, sir. Mr. Jimi Hendrix. Mr. Marcus Sims.
Yes, hello? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Again, thank you to the mayor, thank you to the vice mayor and the city council for this opportunity. I am a lifelong resident of Cavalier Manor. I was born there. And just hearing some of the comments that have been mentioned in this discussion have both been disheartening and also enlightening. One of the things that I wanted to say about one thing that was mentioned is that we cannot avoid progress out of fear. Cavalier Manor is a neighborhood that has been rich with tradition, but the only way we keep that richness alive is by by keeping new blood and fresh energy coming into the community. So a development such as what Alvin Kills is talking about is extremely important to keeping that freshness, keeping that energy, keeping that new blood coming into our community. I look at a person like myself who had to move away because of lack of housing options to stay in the city. And now that I'm back, I'm looking for any opportunities to bring other people like myself, other young people who want to help the city grow and who want to help the city build and help the city continue to thrive. We're looking for places like that. We all don't want to buy homes, but we still want to contribute what we can to the city that made us, to the city that helped us develop. So hearing about this project, I went to college with Alvin. I've seen him be very active in our college community. I've seen he and as well as his family be dedicated to the growth of both Elizabeth City State. I know his brother went to Hampton and they've been active there as well. So knowing the kind of energy, knowing the kind of high quality ideals that they bring to the table, having them involved in the neighborhood that I grew up in, the neighborhood that I call home, that my mother called home, that the majority of my family called home, is something that's very important to me. Even just from a mere aesthetic look, having something being developed on that lot, sitting right there in the middle of my neighborhood, is extremely important. So this is something that I would ask that the council would step behind and stand behind, if for no other reason than to just show everybody that we are looking for growth, that the city is looking to continue to develop and be at the forefront of the progressive growth of the 757 area.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Do we have any other speakers, Madam Clerk?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Dontrell Holland.
Okay. Mr. Gary Harris. Mr. Gary Harris. Miss Sandra Bain. Sandra Baines. And I understand that because has left the meeting. There are no additional speakers, council members.
Miss Baines is here with me. I don't know if you guys want to allow her to chime in. She's right here.
Ben Michael.
Ms. Baines,
Yes.
you prepared to speak?
Yes, thank you. And as they say in church, I won't be before you long. There were just 2 points I wanted to make because everyone had so many good things to say and so much has already been covered. First of all, my name is Sandra Baines and I'm the former CEO of Rettenauer Baines Associates, the architectural firm that's currently working on this project, which brings me to my first point. In that role, I had an opportunity to work with many developers, none of them that look like myself or Mr. Keys. Some of them you all know: Marathon Development, Breeden Development, Francisco's Development, Weldon Fields, Ryan Homes. I've had the opportunity to come before many council members, and I can honestly say it grieves my heart to hear the questions and the scrutiny that this young man has been under. I could almost appreciate it if, in fact, he was coming with no knowledge of this area. He was coming in with a design team that no one knew, hadn't seen any of the products that this professional design team that he surrounded himself with. You heard Michael Massey use the term trust. And that's exactly what it comes down to. It's about this council trusting Mr. Keys and his team to do right for the citizens. You know, we talk about, as a society, and I'm speaking primarily as a minority, we speak about as a society about how we don't have the opportunities, or this is short and that's short. Here's a young man, and I don't know many young people his age that would take the money that they've worked for his number of years that he has, and invest it in a community so others may have the same opportunity that was provided to him. We speak about the age group, the 55 and older group, and how they may be negatively impacted. They may be, but let's talk about how they may be positively impacted as well. I don't know how many of you live in a neighborhood where there's children, but if the truth be told, there's nothing more joyous than hearing children laughing, seeing young families moving about. That's what this community would bring back to the neighborhood. So I want to leave you with this. Look at Mr. Keels not as a young man who's coming to Portsmouth to put up a development, but look at him as an opportunity to do what each member of this council has talked about doing, has wanted to see, not just recently, but for a long time. We want to see more minorities at the helm. Well, here's your chance. Here's a young man who is a minority that's come back to the town that he grew up in and loves with his money, not yours, but his money. And sure, he's a businessman. He's going to make money. I wouldn't want to deal with him if he wasn't, because then that's a fool, frankly. So Michael's giving me the sign. So, but my point being, please consider and seriously considering allowing Mr. Keels to not only bring this project up, but to show the individuals of Tidewater that Portsmouth is no longer going to stand by. Portsmouth is moving. Portsmouth is doing different things. Portsmouth is not going to the good old boys looking for new blood. So thank you very much. I look forward to a positive vote.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your time. Madam Clerk, are there any other speakers registered?
No, sir, there are no additional speakers on this item.
Hearing none, then this public hearing is now closed. Members of City Council, is there any discussion about this item? Councilwoman Lucas-Burke.
Thank you, Mayor. And just for the record, for those who may be curious or wondering, I did ask for an opinion from our city attorney, and it revealed that I had no conflict on this issue. I am a member of the Cavalier Manor Civic League, and I do live in the Cavalier Manor community. The need for affordable housing to include multifamily units is increasing across our 757, and in Portsmouth needs to be to put in a place of posture to be able to offer some of that available market to citizens demanding that option. As a former commissioner and a chair of the Economic Development Authority, I understand that multifamily life is viewed as a rising residential boom across this region. And the localities choosing those options are selling rapidly, and they're growing their economies by leaps and bounds. With the proposed casino development on the horizon, it's just one less than a mile away from this proposed development site. The multifamily offer will be a great new addition for the area. With the site that has been undeveloped and vacant for the greater part of 2 decades, that's almost half of my life. It has been past time for Portsmouth to approve a quality project on this empty and blighted site. I have been waiting for a developer who would come to us with plans that are exciting, that would create a project concept that would be a catalyst for future change and future growth. And the Evergreen at Bethel gives us that kind of hope for a thriving new community of young people, of new generation of leaders and families right here in the city of Portsmouth. I am in strong support of this development, and I will be supporting the request. And I hope that my council colleagues have listened. I saw the signatures that came through. I didn't see any of them to be bogus. I know most of them to be my neighbors, to be my family members who also live in this community. I've had people who attend church with me right here at my home church of St. Mark Missionary Baptist Church. They go to church with me and they want to see something. And I know a lot of people who live in that community don't even drive past that way. So they're saying to not vote for something that they don't even go that way to even look at. When I leave my house and I leave my community and I hit the interstate, a lot of times I don't even drive by it. But I took myself time to go past there several times over the past month just to see. And that eyesore is something that I don't want to see anymore. We have a young developer here who has brought us a promising new idea. I've attended the state of the city addresses for Virginia Beach and for Chesapeake, and they're offering multifamily units all over the place. And there are great developers out there who are offering products that are similar to what Mr. Alvin Kills is offering. And it's time for Portsmouth to be on board with that so that when we can compete with some of that market of young people who want to move back to this city. With the proposed casino that's coming, people who are going to be working there, 1,300 jobs are being promised. We need people to be able to live on this side of the Elizabeth River so they don't have to contend with the tolls that are there. We have people in our shipyards. During the planning commission meeting, we had our TCC president, Ms. Marsha Constant, to speak on it, and she was for it, and the workforce development people are for it, and so many people have told me that they are for this, and the handful of people who have told me that they are against it, you know, I understand that too, and I want to represent you all, but there are more of us who want to see some new growth, some new development, some multifamily units, so that Portsmouth can start to compete with some of these other cities, and when we offer this kind of product, then we're going to get a different kind of person in the city of Portsmouth. So I'm in favor of it. I hope my colleagues will do the same. Thank you, Mayor, for the time.
Back in. He's back in.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilmember Woodard. And then Vice Mayor Barnes.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to make sure people know that I'm a proponent for Cavalier Manor, and I'm actually grew up downtown. And you know, I used to go to Cavalier Manor to be around the families and be nurtured by the community. But the thing is, over the course of a couple of years, Cavalier Manor, people have been losing their homes, left and right, and it has been new contractors coming in that area, building up new homes, and really trying to get Cavalier Manor back to the standing that we used to remember it was. But I've been looking at this project, and I've been researching with different contractors and asking them about this particular blighted property that's been there for 20 years, and it's no real plan for it. I think Mr. Kills and his company has done a ton of work to show the community that they can trust him and they can believe in his blueprint. He has over 500 signatures throughout my service on this council. I received 75 letters, and I had to consider those things. So 500 signatures shows that he put in the work to show people that he's serious, and we can trust him going forward. So my thing is bringing in 280 units, bringing more families to this area. That's what we need, and particularly Cavalier Mountain. What people got to understand, or the public got to understand, is that these apartment buildings are coming. If it be downtown, on Crawford Street, if it's developed by different companies, it's coming. So I encourage the people of Cavalier Manor to really look at them being able to get this luxury condo complex in their area. And that's what I'm a proponent for. Of your neighborhood being the ones who be able to obtain this luxury complex with a great price point that's going to bring in quality people to this area and keep the tradition going on, then Cavalier Manor is definitely the place to live. Grow your family and be. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Vice Mayor Barnes.
I think Councilman Moody had his hand up before me. I'll let him go, and then I'll go after him.
Councilmember Moody, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'm going to support the project. I think there's a need for quality apartments. I was impressed with the layout and the plans, development plans that Mr. Keel has presented. I would remind my colleagues that the need for apartments, as a council, we rejected a good project a few months ago. So Please keep that in mind when that comes back to us. But Mr. Keel's project, like most projects, it stirred up a lot of support and a lot of people that didn't support it. I will say that I got more people that contacted me via email and a few phone calls that supported the project. I would like to remind Mr. Keels, and he knows this, a quality project deserves a quality management company. A management company can, the right management company can make an excellent project into a stellar project, and vice versa. A management company with not a good reputation can turn a quality project into one that's not quality. So please keep that in mind as you do your due diligence in selecting a management company for your project. And millennials, there is an apartment shortage. There's a housing shortage. People are actually bidding on houses, and I guess it's a realtor's dream right now. But bottom line is millennials, unlike my generation, they don't want to stand behind a lawnmower. They don't want to be on a ladder painting houses and that sort of thing. They want to spend quality time with their family and enjoying life. And that's a good thing. But your investment, from my perspective, is appreciated. I think shows that you have confidence in Portsmouth. You see you see the upside, and obviously you're a businessman. You wouldn't be investing in Portsmouth if you weren't going to get a return on your investment, and that's a good thing. So thank you again for the project that you're getting ready to develop. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Vice Mayor Barnes.
My question is to Mr. Keels. For many of us on council, well, a few of us on council, investing back in the community is very important when it comes to people doing business with the city of Portsmouth. What kind of contributions have you made to the community of Portsmouth?
That's a good question. Over my 20 years of doing business, I've always made it, my mission to give back to the community. And since I've gotten into real estate development, and I've purchased this piece of property, and I'm looking to become part of the Cavalier Manor family, I've actually gone out and done a lot in the community. I recently just, with the Cavalier Manor Little League, I just sponsored all of the uniforms for the Cavalier Manor Little League, and I secured two pitching mounds. Their season begins actually this weekend, so I'm excited about that. This past Christmas, I selected 10 families in Cavalier Manor that were hit by hard times due to COVID, and they weren't able to provide Christmas for their families. So I stepped in, and me and my team, we provided Christmas for 10 different families in the community. And then this past Easter, we did a community event. Things are, we're still under COVID restrictions, but a lot of kids have, missed interaction, and we had an opportunity with things, getting better with COVID, to have a responsible event at New Testament Church, where I put on an event for the whole community to come out and eat. They had face painting, dance contest, Easter egg hunting, just a community event like the old days. We always hear about the negative things in the news, but there's a lot of positive going on out here as well. So I've done a lot in the community, and I'm looking to do even more moving forward. Because look, if I become a part of this, I'm already a Portsmouth resident. If I become a part of Cavalier Manor, I'm a part of Cavalier Manor. And so, I'm looking to help this community in this city move forward. And we have a lot of work to do, but I want to be a part of that team to help take us there. So that was a good question, but those are some of the things I've done.
Thank you.
Yep.
Look like Vice Mayor, you may need to ask if it's any other.
So is there any other questions for Mr. Keels regarding the subject? Councilman Woodard?
This is for, I think, Keel's partner, was the engineer, was the partner.
I got kicked out and back in. Were you asking me a question?
Your partner, who was an engineer or?
Chris Stubbs? Yeah.
Hello, like this.
You're talking about my partner?
Is they still on the call now?
Oh, I'm not sure. Sure. Yeah.
We're still on the call.
Yeah, we're still on the call. Okay. Yeah, so I got a question. Because we still want to make sure that we consider the residents that are in Cavalier Manor. So from your drawings, is the back of the apartments that's on Taswell, is it neighborhood friendly? Do it fit the aesthetics of the neighborhood itself, or is it something overbearing that it don't fit the feng shui of the neighborhood?
Alvin, I'll take that one. I'm the architect, Mr. Woodard. So in regards to the design, the city of Portsmouth has a number of guidelines and ordinances to require what the buildings will comply with. And that's in regards to outdoor spaces. So every unit actually has an outdoor space in the patio, so you'll have some life out there. It also requires that the ordinances also require that you have every certain distance that the units move back and forth in regards to depth of the buildings. And then lastly, the top of the building is actually only going to be 40 feet tall, which is a typical height of a two-story home roof ridge. So we believe it fits well in with the community.
Is it balconies on the back of it that face the residence that's on Taswell, or is it AC units that sit in front of their homes? What exactly are they looking at?
So we'll be using package units, which basically means there will not be any condensers. There'll actually be units that are inside the actual apartment unit itself. And then each apartment, if it's on the ground floor, gets about a 5x8 patio, and then the ones on the upper floors get a 5x8 porch.
Is it a small fence there, or is just what is actually the schematics of that patio?
So there's a continuous fence that's all the way around the entire site first. And then because of building codes on the upper patios, you will have a balcony railing that protects people at that point.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, sir. So I think are we complete with the questions, council members?
Mr. Mayor.
I'm sorry, man.
Yes, Dr. Whitaker, sir.
I'll let Mr. Whitaker go.
Oh, and one more thing. I don't know. We're just doing this for the people that's watching as well. Mr. Kills, did you go over your price point for your apartment complex? I know we went over the actual rooms, but did we go over the price point that you'll be having?
Yes. Well, I did not, but I will right now. The one bedrooms are projected to begin at $1,075 per month, and 2 bedrooms will be right at $1,400 per month, and 3 bedrooms will be between $1,575 and $1,600 per month.
Okay. So I thought in a previous meeting it was presumed at 1,800. Was that correct? This change
for the 3 bedrooms?
Right.
Yeah. We've done a little bit more research with the bank, and right now we're looking at trying to keep the 3 bedrooms in the 1,600 range. And so I mean, prices are subject to change with financing and the cost of the project, but they'll be at market rate. So
just to concur with Councilmember Moody, so we are encouraging it be a strong management team on this particular property, because we don't want a descending price range in this area, because these people are putting a vote of confidence on this particular project. So is that something that we are working towards? Because like I say, I knew it was 18 and we had 15 or 16. So the citizens that I spoke with do want to make sure that there is a constant of rent and property value that's around this project.
Right. Yes, that'll be, to speak on the management, just from the standpoint of finance, and the bank's going to require an elite management company to be a part of this project. I'm not going to be able to manage this project within my own company. I'm actually interviewing management companies, but any management company that we select will have a strong reputation of managing elite properties such as this. And as far as the price point goes, the price point, a lot factors into the price point, and the median income of the city, the total cost of the project, but it will be at market rate. So it won't be anything that the surrounding neighbors have to worry about, a community of cheap rent, and I'm sure if approved, you guys will hold me to the design, and the design is going to be a design of such that will require rent to be at a certain price point. And so I don't want to price young professionals out of the community, but I also don't want, as some of the concerned citizens have stated, I also don't want the price point to be at a point where it will cause major concern about the type of neighborhood that would be over there. So this is going to be a grade A community. It's going to be we'll have stainless steel appliances, granite countertops, and it's not by any, it's not going to be a black eye for the community. I can assure you that.
Understood, but we just want to make sure at market rate and standard rate. I think the public just want to make sure that if the market goes down, that this property isn't, wouldn't be consistent with going down as well with that rent. They want to make sure that it is a standard, and it is a standard for this property when it comes to rent, to keep that quality tenant there.
Correct. Yeah, we will see to it that quality tenant, that the price points will attract a particular tenant. Market rate is basically a saying for the category of apartment, that oftentimes the amenities are what qualifies your apartment as market rate, as opposed to workforce, versus like standard apartments. And so with the high-end amenities and the finishes and the fixtures, we're providing a market rate product, which is technically one step below luxury. And so that's what we're bringing to the community.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Keels.
Yes, sir.
Sir, Dr. Whitaker, did you have a question?
No, just a comment, Mr. Mayor. I just want to say that I'm going to be recusing myself from this vote because of some legal issues.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Keels, thank you for your time, sir. You have a good evening.
Thank you.
Council members, we are in need of a motion or second. Since there are no other questions, is there a motion to approve this project?
Move for approval.
Second.
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 Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Mr. Barnes,
Yes.
Mr. Battle,
Yes.
Mrs. Lucas Burke,
Yes.
Mr. Moody,
Yes.
Dr. Whitaker is abstaining. Mr. Woodard,
Yes.
Mayor Glover.
No.
Thank you.
We've come to our next item. Item 21-87. Item AZ 20-20. And Madam Clerk, would you please read the item?
Yes, sir. Downtown Robert D. Barclay, the Cooper, Spong, and Davis ETC requests to rezone approximately 5.38 acres at 0 Effingham Street from downtown D1 C5 subdistrict to general mixed use in order to develop a self-service storage facility. The applicant is concurrently requesting a use permit for the self-service storage facility, use UP 20-11, the future land use map of Build One Portsmouth Comprehensive Plan designates the property as mixed-use employment. The property is owned by Portsmouth Redevelopment and Housing Authority and is deferred from the March 9th, 2021 City Council meeting.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Are there any registered speakers for this item?
Yes, sir, we have one. And that Mr. Mark Godaldi.
Mr. Godaldi Utrovsky, are you there, sir? Mr. Godaldi Utrovsky? One more time, Mr. Godaldi Utrovsky.
He might have gotten off the line.
Thank you, sir. One last time.
You have 5 minutes, sir.
Can you hear me? Okay. Heard myself twice. Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, council members, and neighbors. So I'm really pleased that council is taking this matter up at this point in time. And I congratulate you for doing what your predecessors might not have done. I have a proposal that's using property that has lain fallow for a long time. And rather than just going ahead with it because of the potential for revenue, you were receptive to neighborhood perspective. There was a current concern expressed at your last meeting. And rather than rushing along, and you met with the representatives of the Environmental Protection Agency who have been involved with this property. We raised substantive questions about safety seating, had answers that were credible from where I sit. And so now back here and can, in good conscience, go ahead and do something that has benefits for the city of Portsmouth and little prospect of harm to the neighborhood. You have been good stewards of public trust. I hope you will complete the process by approving this project. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk, are there any other registered speakers? Madam Clerk, are there any other registered speakers?
No, sir. I just want to note that the applicant is available if you have a question.
Mr. Barclay?
I'm here, as
You
is
have one question,
Mr.
sir.
Webb.
Was there a market study done for the need of such a storage facility prior to moving in this direction?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, and what I'd like to do, I'd like to turn that question over to John Williams, who's the principal involved in this, and he has in-depth knowledge of that topic.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Mayor, can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, sir. We did do a market study, as we do on all of our projects. And I think I mentioned last time, Safe Store builds projects up and down the East Coast. We've got 31 sites, and we do a market study for an analysis for every site. We have to ensure that the success of the project based on the need in the area. And storage is not super complicated in that, the market study area for storage is a 3-mile ring around the project site. It's very, very simple. That's where 90+% of the customers will end up coming from, or, a vast majority of the customers come from. And within that 3-mile radius, we only have 10 competing properties. The kicker, though, is, Mr. Mayor, is that those 10 properties, the average age is 42.6 years. And the national average, what we expect to see when we do a market study, if the market is full or doesn't really need storage, is 7.5 square feet of storage per person in that 3-mile radius. There's just a shade over 6, like 6.1 in this area. So this market, this 3-mile ring, is 20% underserved. In addition to that, there's only one, storage facility built within a mile of this site, and it was built in 1977. So there's a modernization of the storage industry going on. Kind of like you see in other segments and sectors. Climate control storage is really important now. There's almost none of that in this radius. We have only 2 products that were built in the last. Let's see, there are 3 projects that were built within the last 20 years, and 1 in the last 10 inside that 3-mile radius. So this is an area that we believe is going to be very successful for us. In fact, I would say that of the dozen or so projects we're working through different processes right now, this particular market may be one of the better ones we're looking at as far as the need for storage in the area.
Thank you, sir. Members of council, we requested and heard from the representatives of the EPA. Is there any additional discussion with this item? Hearing none, we are in need of a motion and a second.
Move adoption.
Second.
Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Yes, sir. Mr. Barnes?
No.
Mr. Battle?
No.
Mrs. Lucasberg?
Yes.
Mr. Moody?
Yes.
Dr. Whitaker,
No.
Mr. Woodard,
No.
Mayor Glover.
Yes.
This item is denied 4-3. Council members, normally when planning items are denied, you have the option of whether it is to come back to you or not for a second reading.
My vote's going to stay the same, so I don't see the need.
No.
I'm in need of direction from council whether this is to come back or not.
Do we have a consensus for it to come back for a second reading? If you give me a show of hands, yes.
Yes.
You said to come back or not to
Come back for a second reading.
Yes.
So this item will not come back for a second reading.
Correct.
Thank you. Members of council, because item A and B are joint items, with the denial of item A, it kind of nulls and voids item B. So at this time, we will move to city manager's report.
Madam Clerk, please read the ordinance we are considering pertaining to this item.
Yes, sir. Give me just one quick second.
Madam Clerk.
An ordinance accepting Project Lifesaver grant funding in the amount of $6,000 from the Alzheimer's Foundation of America and appropriating said amount in the FY 2021 grants fund for use by the Portsmouth Sheriff's Office.
Move for approval.
Second.
Madam Clerk, were there any speakers for this item? Madam Clerk, were there any speakers for this item?
No, sir.
Since we have no speakers and there's been a motion and second, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Yes, sir. Okay. Mr. Barnes?
Yes.
Mr. Battle?
Yes.
Mrs. Lucas-Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Moody?
Yes.
Dr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Mr. Woodard?
Yes.
Mayor Glover?
Yes.
Thank you.
We have now come to item 21-115. And Madam Clerk, would you read the ordinance we are considering?
Yes, sir. An ordinance accepting Kids Meals Program grant funding in the amount of $124,440 from the Virginia Department of Education and appropriating said amount in the FY 2021 grants fund for use by the Department of Parks, Recreation, and Tourism.
Council members, we are in need of a motion and second.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Madam Clerk, were there any speakers?
No, sir.
Council members, is there any discussion from you, the members? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Yes, sir. Mr. Barnes?
Yes.
Mr. Battle?
Yes.
Mrs. Lucas-Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Moody?
Yes.
Dr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Mr. Woodard?
Yes.
Mayor Glover?
Yes. Item 21-116. Madam Clerk, would you please read the ordinance?
Yes, sir. An ordinance accepting summer food service program grant funding in the amount of $505,792.50 from the Virginia Department of Education and appropriating said amount in the FY 2021 Grants Fund for use by the Department of Parks, Recreation, and Tourism.
Council members, we are in need of a motion and second.
Move for adoption.
Second.
Madam Clerk, were there any speakers for this item?
No, sir.
Council members, is there any discussion we need to have on this item? Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Yes, sir. Mr. Barnes?
Yes.
Mr. Battle?
Yes.
Mrs. Lucas Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Moody?
Yes.
Dr. Woodard?
Yes.
Mr. Woodard?
Yes.
Mayor Glover?
Yes. That concludes the city manager's report. We've now come to new business.
We have for consideration for boards and commissions. We have a couple that we're going to be naming, but first I'm going to start with our citizens. For the Historic Preservation Committee, we have, we have Mr. David Summers. And for the History Commission, we have Leah Boardman. Are we voting on them all together or separately? Can't we?
All together would be preferred, sir.
Okay. And then for the Hampton Roads Regional Jail Authority, the Community Policy and Management Team, Transportation District Commission of Hampton Roads, the Hampton Roads Planning District Commission, the Newport Development Authority, and Southside Newport Authority Board, we have for your consideration our new city manager, Ms. Angel Jones, and also for the appointment of the Portsmouth Community Broadband Network Authority, we have Mayor Shannon Glover, myself, Vice Mayor DeAndre Bonds, Council Member Mark Whitaker, and Council Member Christopher Woodard. These are who we have for consideration. Hopefully we get everybody's approval.
Move for approval.
Second.
Second.
Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Barnes?
Yes.
Mr. Battle?
Yes.
Mrs. Lucas Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Moody?
Yes.
Dr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Mr. Woodard?
Yes.
Mayor Glover?
Yes. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Item 21-118. Item submitted by council members. Council members, do you have any items to submit? Vice Mayor Barnes, sir, you have the floor.
Okay, I sent out an email regarding the ordinance, and I asked, was there any objections from council? So I'll extend that offer again. I would like to help our local businesses and giving them the best opportunity to see in our next meeting on April 26th. I would like added to the agenda for approval should be an ordinance to expand use of outdoor restaurant seating and to authorize the city manager to approve temporary outdoor dining permits. Cities like Hampton, Norfolk, Virginia Beach, and others have passed similar ordinances since the pandemic, and we need to as well. I think given the restraints that were put on the businesses during this pandemic, it's important for us to put things like this in place for our businesses. So if there is no objection for council, I would like to see that on our next agenda on April 27th.
Mr. Mayor.
Dr. Whitaker, go ahead, sir.
Could if Vice Mayor Bonds could we discuss that in a work session, getting some information back from the city manager regarding any public health issues or anything along that line that we need to take into account for this ordinance?
Well, I think that would be my recommendation due to the current COVID status that we're still in. And
You muted. You're muted.
I think I concur with that, giving the fact that we're still in COVID protocol and
You muted again.
any potential health risk we may expose our business owners and our citizens to. It is appropriate for us to get the information back from our legal team and the management team to see if we can proceed with that matter.
And if the public health department has any information regarding that as well.
We will ask for that at the next work session to provide us all the updated information in regards to that so that we can make an informed decision.
I'm not totally against that, but I did send the information out almost 2 weeks ago, so that could have kind of been presented in this meeting or in the work session that we had. So with that being said, I mean there are other cities that have already done it. Virginia Beach have had a special meeting to actually do it. Hampton's doing it. Norfolk's doing it. So I would think too, if it presented a significant health risk, they would not have taken into account this ordinance. And I just want to make sure that we're looking out for our local business. I've spoke with a lot of them downtown, and they feel that this would be very helpful. And I've actually spoken to our EDA department, and they feel that it will be very helpful as well, and it'll be a blessing for our businesses to help maneuver them in this pandemic so that they can succeed and be successful during these times, because there's been a lot of restraints on our businesses and on our restaurants, especially the restaurants. So like I said, if there's no objection from at least 4 members of council, I would like to see that on the agenda.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. But if I could add, our counts have increased in terms of our COVID, and so that's one of the considerations, and that is why I'm requesting that we get a report back. Unfortunately, what is happening in other cities as it relates to infection rates may not be happening in Portsmouth. So we have to consider all those things when we're looking out for the health and welfare of our citizens. I assure you, every member of council is concerned about our businesses' viability and their opportunity to grow and take care of their needs. I can vouch for every member of this council. So thank you. I think it's prudent that we get the information reported back and then we make a decision.
That's fine, and I don't mind losing or anything. I just want to see is that the consensus of the council before we move on with that.
That's my consensus too. I agree with Councilman Dr. Whitaker and our mayor that we do need to get that report. I know that our numbers, I was speaking with the health director just this week in my links meeting, Dr. Lauren James, and she said that our numbers are increasing in the city of Portsmouth. And I would want to also make sure that we are following the governor's executive orders on how we allow outdoor seating. I and some of my girlfriends got together this weekend, and we did go out to Norfolk, and there was people everywhere in the outdoor setting. And I would love to see our businesses thrive in that way, but I want to see it done appropriately, healthy, and in the right light. So I would be in favor of the mayor and Dr. Whitaker's request as well.
I concur with that. I think that's the approach that we need to take.
Yes, because ultimately the safety of our citizens and our businesses is of the utmost importance. So we will wait for the report back and guidance from the professionals, the health department, our legal team, and our manager's office. And we will ask for that to come back at our next work session. Are we agreed? Thank you. We have a consensus.
That's fine. And I have some more items I want to submit. I want to give a big kudos to our Portsmouth schools for the hard work that they put into making yesterday a success. The safety measures, myself and Councilman Woodard had the opportunity to visit a couple of schools, Brighton Elementary School, Churchland Elementary School, and also the high school. And like I said, I want to give them a big shout out for the measures that they put in place. They showed us everything that they're doing, the different things they're doing in the lunchroom, as far as making sure that they're having the kids spaced out, and they know it can't be a lot of talking. So the Brighton, for instance, they had the TV on, so the kids can watch TV. So I wanted to give them a big shout out. Also, I wanted to give another couple of shout outs to Portsmouth Recreation Department, Big Homies Community Outreach, Blacktop Basketball for the camp that they had over the weekend. The camp was for kids ages 7 through 17. There was a lot of kids there. I actually had the opportunity to walk in on a message that they was giving to the kids, and it was a valuable message, something that I think that's going to be beneficial for them in the future. Also, I want to give a shout out to Churchland High School, who won the first round of their playoff game. They came out with a big win. I was very impressed with what they did against War Hill. This Friday they're playing Lake Teller High School. So I'm looking forward to the accomplishments they can come out with this week. Maybe we can get in contact with the mayor of Norfolk and have a friendly wager on the game. And also, I want to give a shout out to the Crowd Out Civic League. This is my last one. They had a spring social gathering this Saturday. Got a chance to talk to a lot of the residents there. That definitely they were letting us know about the things they have going on in their community. So I'm looking forward to working with them. And I am done.
Thank you, sir, for that wonderful information. Also, I'd like to mention to everyone that we do have our State of the City address on Friday, April 16th at 12 o'clock noon at the Renaissance. It will be broadcast on YouTube Live. And this is our opportunity to celebrate the successes of Portsmouth. We have certainly overcome a lot with COVID-19, the pandemic, but we're resilient and we'll continue to rise and thrive. And I hope that you all can participate. And I encourage the citizens to sign on and listen to the good things that are happening in our city and the good things that are to come. Thank you.
Ms. Mayor.
Sir, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. We'd like to just say we're thankful to have, as you said, our new city manager on board, Ms. Angel Jones. Also, I think it would be appropriate for us to commend Mr. Pace. I think he did an excellent job serving as interim city manager, served with authenticity, integrity, transparency, and I think that he's truly an asset to our city, and want to publicly say that, and want to thank him for all that he did while serving in that capacity.
Well, can we give that young man a round of applause?
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, sir.
Right.
Are there any other items submitted by council?
Mayor,
Vice Mayor Barnes.
I forgot to give one shout out to West Winds Apartments. The team over there, they had a community cleanup of Churchland this weekend. Councilman Woodard and I was able to attend and participate with that as well. It's good to see people in the community. Looking forward to partnering with other people to clean up the community, but definitely didn't want to miss giving them their shout out as well.
Thank you, sir.
You're muted.
Next item, 21-119, report on pending items. Are there any pending items? Mr. Pace, Ms. Jones?
Mayor, there are no pending items. I would like to say to the City Council, I sincerely appreciate all of the confidence that you placed in me during this interim period. It has been a daunting task, and I just thank God for the opportunity to have served and to try to do what I need to do, or try to lead the city in a direction in which we could get some things accomplished in the interim. So I do thank you for your confidence, and look forward to continuing working with the new city manager. Thank you.
Well, sir, if I can take a mayoral privilege, it has been a pleasure and honor to watch you work. And if I may say, I believe that you were just waiting on an angel to arrive to take your place. So thank you, man, and we appreciate you, and we look forward to continuing to see the great work that you will do.
Thank you.
We've come to item 21-120, non-agenda speakers. Madam Clerk, do we have any non-agenda speakers?
Yes, sir. Our first speaker is Asia Medley. I'm not sure if she's on the line or not.
Miss Asia, are you there, ma'am?
Okay. And Mr. Bracy Parr.
Bracy Parr?
Yes, can you hear me?
Are you there, Bracy?
Hello, can you hear me?
I think I can hear you.
He's on.
You're here, so
Hello, can you?
You have 5 minutes, sir.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. All right, great. Good evening, Mayor Glover, Vice Mayor Barnes, and rest of City Council. We wanted to give a warm welcome from the Craddock Civic League to Miss Jones. We're looking forward to working with you. We also wanted to give a big thank you to Interim City Manager Mr. Pace. It was great working with you to meet the needs of the residents of Craddock. We want to give a big thanks to Council for supporting our past events like our community garden event. And then we wanted to inform y'all that we've got an Earth Day celebration coming up on April 24th, starting at 9 a.m. In partnership with Paradise Creek Nature Park, and as well as the Mission Continues. We do want to reiterate our priorities to Council and look forward to working on these with the new city manager of increasing public safety and then also revitalizing Athens Square. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Parr. Council members, Madam Clerk, are there any other speakers?
No, sir.
Council members, seeing no additional business for our consideration, we are adjourned.